Hi guys, welcome back to Always Kadeja, where I'm always Kadeja and you're always you. So let's get into the video. So today we are talking about how to not feel insecure anymore. How to not be insecure, to be your most confident, most beautiful, and most authentic self ever. Okay? So before we get into this video, I want you to think of some things. Remember, I want this to play in your head as you listen to this video. The first thing I'm gonna tell you is insecurity is one of those things you never can really get rid of. Our issue with society today is we like to fix stuff. We like to fix shit. And in all honesty, you can't fix everything. And it's one of those things that it's an emotion. It's something that you feel. It's not anything you can just let go. So it's not this video is not about fixing the problem. It's about learning how to cope with your problem. It is not a problem because insecurity is an emotion, like anger, sadness, happiness. You feel those things. Insecurity isn't a person. You just feel insecure. It doesn't mean it's true, but you feel it. And that's something you have to learn how to process and learn how to understand. Secondly, this is my opinion and my opinion only. So some things may resonate, some things may not. But I want you to just remember that insecurity is one of those things that you just have to learn how to process. A little bit of a story time to kind of share my story and kind of ways that helped me feel a little bit less insecure. So growing up, I was a very insecure, very unconfident child. I was a really bad people pleaser. And a lot of it was because it was this idea of not feeling worthy and not feeling love about myself. I hated myself. I was always trying to be someone else. Literally, they could be the worst person in the world. And I'm like, oh, it's probably better than what I'm dealing with. So that insecurity grew. And now I'm 20 years old and it has improved a lot, but I still deal with it. Once again, I just learned how to cope with it and learn how to process it a little bit better. So I'm gonna give you practical, realistic ways to really learn how to understand and deal with insecurity. The first step, or one of the tips that I would recommend, is before you do anything, before you try to get into this mindset of whatever you're trying to do, recognize when you feel insecure. Recognize your triggers. You know when you feel those emotions. So I want you, the first thing to do, don't even worry about it. Write down and recognize when you feel insecure. So maybe you're walking or you're in school, whatever, and you see this very pretty girl. You feel insecure because you're like, damn, I don't feel worthy. Write that down. Make a note of that. Because when you start understanding why you feel that way, when you start recognizing why you feel that way, you start to realize your patterns. Because the first step, you got to realize what's going on. Because if you try to fix something you don't even understand, there's really no point of fixing something. That's me trying to fix a car. I don't understand how a car works. I don't understand how to put oil in it. If I don't know what oil is, how the fuck am I going to fix the car? You know what I'm saying? So before you try to let me stop using the word fix. Before you try to do something with insecurity, write down, do you see it? Is it when you get on social media? Is it when you see this person? Is it when your ex does X, Y, and Z? When do you feel insecure the most? That's the first step. Because I'm a believer that we use triggers. I think triggers can be your friend. I understand there are situations and times where triggers can be too much. But the thing about triggers is that it helps you reflect and understand your emotion. When you're triggered, you go back to a place of being uncomfortable. But being uncomfortable is a way to learn how to recognize those emotions and learn how to start healing that part of you. So when you get triggered, don't run away from it. Don't avoid it. Recognize it. Recommend reading this book called Unwinding Anxiety. It's a more scientific way of how to learn how to get out of your worry and your fear mindsets, and it helps erase cycles of it. A lot of the information I'm getting is from this book, so I'm not like, oh, I just made that up. I mean, a lot of it is from my experiences, but this book is like, read it. read it. It's definitely very helpful. Another way that you can help cope or learn how to deal with insecurity is to stop going to the past. Now, this is a mindset that I have learned recently, and a lot of people may disagree with, but I believe we always try to fix the past. So the mindset, and it talks about in this book, the issue that we do is when we notice a problem, we try to fix it. We try to go into deep inner child and, shadow work, and we kind of get ourselves into a rut because we're so stuck on fixing the past. Fixing, the inner child, in a way, I feel like has been passed around a lot, and a lot of it of what I've done is you're trying to fix something that you can't fix. Like, they're like, go to your inner child, make sure she's safe, which I don't disagree with. I think it's a good practice. But I think the practice can get to a point where you stay stuck in the past. You get stuck. You're trying to figure out why you feel this way. And then the reality is, you're just making yourself more upset. You're getting yourself more frustrated. Every problem you have, you will not really know why you have it. That's the bottom line. But the issue is that there are things that we just can't control. And I'm like, the reason you go through X, Y, and Z really may not have a purpose or a meaning behind it. And if you do go through X, Y, and Z, you go into your inner child every day to talk about the same thing and getting the same reaction isn't going to help you. A way that I see it is stick with the present moment. Be aware. So for example, we go back to the pretty girl. Instead of being like, oh, the reason I'm insecure is because as a child, I went through X, Y, and Z and I felt ugly and I felt not good. Yes, that may be true, but that what gets you in the trap of trying to fix shit. Instead of just be in that moment. Why are you affected by that girl? Because you don't feel good enough. End it right there. That's something you can work with. When you start going into the past, it gets complicated and you can't work with it. You don't have to go deep. You just can be like, hey, this girl, I'm jealous because I want the butt she has. I want the face she has. Point blank, period. You don't have to go, oh, well, my childhood said, well, as a child, no. End it right there, honey, okay? Because that is something you can work with that emotion. The next tip is doing small things to help you with feeling less insecure. So for example, one thing I used to do, I would say my 7th grade year, I would try to talk to a new stranger every day or do something because I wasn't a very talkative person. So, talking to people was literally one of my worst nightmares. So I would try to have the confidence or do something small, because when you do something big and it fails, your insecurity can make you feel like, oh my gosh, like this is, then you reaffirm yourself. But one thing I learned is stop attaching yourself to experiences, because your experience and you are separate, at least in my opinion. Yes, things make you who you are, but that's like you, I guess, like if you broke your leg, you're not the broken leg, you just broke your leg and that's just what happened. That's the way you look at life. You're like, well, this did happen, but that doesn't mean that's just who I am. That's just an experience that happened. It's like you kind of have to separate yourself from the experience. So doing small things are very helpful, but over the years, those small steps have helped me to become a lot more confident. Instead of trying to do something big, because that's not your skill level. That's like you saying, oh, I'm gonna get out of bed at 5 a.m. But if you can't even get out of bed at 8 a.m., what the fuck do you think you're gonna get out at 5 a.m.? You may have to be like, okay, I may get out of bed at 7:45. I may try to get out of bed before 10 a.m., to start building yourself. You can't build off of a house of cards. It will fall over. But if you build from brick to brick, it will be strong in the end. People do not understand the the beauty of things that take time. Yes, have action, because action is important, but understand that it will grow. It will grow. My next tip is learning how to process it. Because like I said, insecurity or any emotion is one of those things. It's not something to fix or get rid of. It's just about acknowledging it. You know, people get mad at you when you're like, oh, you're being insecure, you're being jealous. That's a part of life. That's something we feel. You know, obviously we live in a world where everyone wants to be better than everyone. This is the main thing this person talked about in this book, is mindfulness and curiosity. Mindfulness, he talks about the RAIN method. And then he goes deeper into something about the reward system and behavior. And that's something I can talk about a little bit deeper, not in this video, about how we have old survival mechanisms and then we have new mechanisms that's the brain that's like creative and more productive, but we are so stuck in our survival. This is a weak part of our brain. So it's hard. That's why it's hard for us to get out of these cycles, because we are fighting with a small fist and this is a bigger fist, and that's why you know it's a whole thing. So if you're just being curious, you know, when you're curious, you learn stuff. So this is really just about having it be a learning experience. And the last tip that I will give you is let go of trying to be this boss bitch. Now, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with improving yourself, and there's nothing wrong with being a boss. Don't get me wrong. But I think this ideology makes us try to prove our worth. The reason a lot of people want to be a boss bitch is because they want somebody to envy them. They want somebody to look at them. And there's nothing wrong with being seen. I think we all should be seen. It doesn't come out of a place of good intention all the time. It's because you live in a world where it's meant for you to be insecure to buy product. That's how they sell you shit. They tell you that you're insecure. True healing and true change comes with being present and being aware and being mindful. You cannot change the past. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing inner child, but you are keeping yourself stuck. Stop idealizing what you were or what you wanted to be. Idealize what the world needs. Because it's not always about us. We make everything about us. Sometimes it's about the community and the people. How are you helping others? How are you guys collaborating? It's about being an individual, but also being with the world as well. This video was a really interesting perspective. Now, some things I'm still learning to understand, but what she talks about, you know, it's really an interesting perspective. So, what I just want to share to you, is about being mindful. The way to stop being insecure is just do what you've been doing. Just be mindful of it, because naturally you will get out of it. You know what I'm saying? Small little habits every day. Because when you're trying to fix something that is an emotion, you're pushing yourself. Ride with the wave. Don't try to fight it, because you're fighting something that's inevitable. So that's my advice. And one more little bonus tip is another reason is you put people or places on a pedestal. We are all connected in some way. We are all the same level. It's more inequity and it's more inequality because we keep putting everyone on a pedestal. We're like, oh, this person is good, that person is bad. Instead, we are all connected and we all are supposed to help serve the world in some way or another. So the insecurity really is because you just live in a society that is fucked up. But also, the insecurity is because you're trying to prove yourself worthy. Stop proving yourself. There's nothing to prove. Worthiness is your essence. You are already worthy. So learn how to understand your essence of who you are right now. Because there's not much because truly, it's okay to improve. don't get me wrong. But truly, a lot of the reason you feel that way is because you don't feel worthy. What you have inside, what you're giving out now, it may just be who you are, and that's okay. The world will tell you it's not. Be like, be this boss bitch, be this boss confident girl, which you can be. But maybe you can be confident in what is in your essence, which is worth, which is you're already enough. You just have to learn how to believe it. But that is my perspective, and I hope you enjoyed my video, and sending lots of love to you guys, and thank you so much for watching this channel. And please check out that girl's perspective, and also check out this book. I'll leave it in the link below, and I'll leave her channel in the link below as well. Thank you. Bye.